Welcome to Israel Tech. I'm excited to have joining with me Alexander Tilkin, the CTO and co-founder of Complyt. Alexander, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So Complyt, tell us about it. I know it does tax compliance.
Yeah.
Basically is a major pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Just the amount of work and time that both my accountants and my team and my office admin and me confirming things and not to mention when you add all other things related to it, right? Accounts receivable, accounts payable, and making sure this is all associated with the tax authorities. What exactly does Complyt do? And tell us about the problem that it solves.
Yeah, so basically, Complyt does all what you just mentioned without the hassle of you doing this. So basically, once you integrate with our product, we do everything starting from calculating the sales tax for transactions, doing your filing to the different states, working on your certificate exemptions if you have. And also we provide professional services for more advanced issues that our customers have. Also we do, during our onboarding process of our customers, we'll look at the history of the customer and we'll look for gaps and problems that he already have and he doesn't aware of. And we take care of this as well.
Okay, so let's take a step back. How does one see that there's a problem and choose to solve it? So
yeah,
where did this, maybe you can take us back about maybe your personal experience or kind of your upbringing and maybe and kind of what got you personally to here and specifically to Complyt and how you were able to put together your team.
Right. So I once someone told me, one of my previous managers told me that, listen, try solve problems that you can handle tomorrow morning. And as all of us, and especially in our generation and the younger generation, we're always like looking like big dream and dream big and like disrupt everything, right. And like be like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs. But there is a huge gap of opportunities between like doing nothing and sending spaceship to space, right? And you just need to listen to people. And I think this is in an age where everybody wants to talk and to be out there, like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and everybody want to influence. If you listen to people, to their problems, you find a lot of opportunities for business.
Right.
So like taxation is especially U.S. taxes, is a huge headache for everybody, starting from individual tax reports. Right. That I helped my wife to apply to do for
She's
the
American?
US. Yeah, and going all the way to like Fortune 500. Everybody need to do their taxes. Everybody are exposed to miscalculations. And when you look at this market and the products, you will hear people always complaining. And there are great products for consumer end, but there is some gaps in the business side, like for enterprise software. And this is where we just landed.
So let's, so how did this come about? So you said, hey, what can I solve tomorrow? Of all of the things you look around,
yeah,
there are many things. And a lot of the technology in Israel isn't related to this industry. So kind of what inspired you, that said like, hey, this is something I can solve? Or how did you uniquely feel the pain of taxes? Or how did you get here? And
yeah, sure. So I'll start with how did I get here, and from there, like how did I decided that it's solvable in a measurable period of time.
Yeah.
And how it's also like how we transfer it into a business, because not everything that is solved is a business, right?
Right.
Yeah. So first of all, let's talk about like this basic triangle that I guess like everybody needs to understand that. You need to have a differentiated product. You need to have a market, and you need to have some pain for a customer, something that they're willing to pay for, right? So, for instance, let's take this space here, and if I'll put it here somewhere in the floor, a coffee shop. I basically doesn't have a business because there are other coffee for free. So there is a market, there is a product, but nobody will willing to pay for it because there are like free opportunities.
Right.
But I can give you like different like shawarma in Tel Aviv, something like with a big brand, people will go there because it have a differentiator. So what happened is that I got a phone call from a VC, and they told me, listen, there is an interesting idea.
Wait. Do VCs, slow down. Do VCs just call people? What do you mean? How do they? What's your connection?
Yeah, no connection.
Is this a friend? Who is this guy?
No, he's not a friend. I don't know. Like they just like contacted me and like, listen, there is.
What were you working on when they come? Were you already?
Yeah. So okay. So while I was working, while they contacted me, I was a software and embedded manager for a startup that was developing a secured laptop for intelligence organizations, and they just contacted me. I don't know how did they find me or why.
You didn't ask?
No.
Who contacted you?
Yeah, so a great girl. Her name is Tal.
Tal from where?
From VAT ITVC. She is like from. She was working.
Tal, tell us why you contacted me. He doesn't even know.
I had the pleasure to working with her. She helped me looking for candidates for. And she's a brilliant girl, and I don't know, like there are people that they have this intuition, like
especially women.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
definitely. And she told me like, listen, there is an opportunity. There is a VC that is looking into this interesting space, and there is this guy who comes from long history from EY. He comes from the US desk.
Right.
And he is an accountant, and he is a lawyer, and he has expertise in education, and they are looking together into the space, and we're looking for a complementary partner for this area because eventually it's technology, so we're looking for a technological partner. And we had several meetings together, me with him and with the VC, like to see. It's a lot about chemistry, So I found myself like sitting with his name is Tal also, and I find myself like sitting with Tal, like like every like we met like 4 or 5 times, and every time it was like for an hour, and we were just like talking and having coffee, just making sure that we're aligned, with our mindset. And I have to tell you, this is like in like everything, right? It's like finding the right environment for yourself, and regardless to startups, it can, as you said, it also related to your relationship with your spouse, with your friends, even in your workspace, in your university. Like everything is about like knowing who you are and knowing what is the best environment for you as a human being to thrive, right? And I had a lot of opportunities to start different ventures with different people, with a even greater resume, but I just didn't feel it doesn't click for me, things like this are tested in times like this, like when we are like, and like when half of your company is in reserves, and even people that are not in reserves, so for instance like women that they have children and their husbands are in reserve, so you need to understand that they need to run the house, and they need to be thoughtful, and this is a place where things can go down, right? Because like relationships in every aspect are tested, not when things go smooth, but where things go bad, right? So this is, I'm really happy, like that this connection happened. And yeah, so when start going back 2 years ago. So we decided, okay, that's can be a great fit. We can start working, and then so we arrived at the office. It's just like I tell them like, listen, I just need all what I need is just like one MacBook, and that's it. And of course, I took the best MacBook because why not?
Wow.
And I just started working, and I have no idea like from like what are the the in-depth what is sales tax, right? Because it's a discipline, right? Like everything is a profession. And on the first week I was just like sitting, and I was just looking for like popular resources of data inside the sphere. And I was just like researching everything. And the first idea was that the initial idea was that let's develop our own sales tax rates engine. And what I know that if you want to move, R&D can never starve business. It's a law, okay, and it should be written in stone. And the mindset of a CTO, from my perspective, as I see it today, is to ask myself every day, what technological resources, soft, for instance, like people, or like not soft, like technology, the business needs to go to do its next step. Okay, so R&D can never starve business. Yeah, so this is my mindset. So if it's build or buy, it's buy, and afterward learn and build. Okay, so pave the road, make the business run, and then make it better or own it, right? So I knew that to develop our own sales tax rates engine would be a huge blockage for reaching our first MVP as soon as possible. So what I did, I was just looking like in different resources around the web, and I found like basically 4 or 5. Some of them were.
What year was this? When was this?
2 years ago.
Okay.
And one of the resources was it was a startup that was merged to the biggest player in the market, and they closed the service only for themselves. That was for me like a hint that, okay, I'm in the right direction, because if big companies want this type of solutions, that means they are strategic assets, okay? And then I found 3 more. One of them was, and then I evaluated the quality of the data, and I realized, okay, one of them is not so accurate. The other one was not too performing well, and then I found another one that was somewhere in the sweet spot between great performance and okay pricing, and the results it provided was accurate. Okay, so we have it, and we bought the license that we needed, and when we had this sales tax rates engine, then we started to build everything around it, right? So I'm blessed that I have an amazing mentor. He sold to companies.
Who's your mentor?
As Tzachi Zigdon.
How did you meet him?
My best childhood friend was working for him. He started in QA, then he developed product management, and today he runs. He's the VP sales of APAC. The company is called Innovid. It's actually and he's one of the 3 founders, Tzachi Zigdon. And he introduced us like 6-7 years ago, and we just had a coffee, and that's it. Zach told me like, feel free to contact me whatever you want. I'm here. And when I joined Complyt, I called him, listen, I think I might need your help sometime. I'd love if you can like guide me. Like,
when you called him, what did you have in mind? Like, so if like an entrepreneur is watching this, like what cues would you give that it's time for you to ask for help? Or
it's a great question,
or to lean on older. So many people say, if you ever need anything, give me a call. If you ever need anything, I'm here for you. Let me know how I can help, right? People say this, and uniquely Israeli, maybe if you wanted to talk about that, people sincerely mean it. And yeah, how can I help? Let me drop everything.
So it's beautiful here. Actually, in the country, I encountered this attitude like a lot, and from people that you would never expect.
Right.
So openness.
It's right. People that you think are cold and closed, and once you say, "Hey, I need your help," and then suddenly they're
and also
they're like your bubby.
Definitely, and also leave aside, for instance, their emotional spectrum. They have a schedule, they have life, they have family, they have a huge business to run. Sometimes when you look at their like schedule, you can't even like put a pin there, right? And then like you ask, well, let's have a cup of coffee. Yes, of course. When do you want?
Right.
It's like like what, in the university together,
exactly.
And I think I asked him like why do you do this? Like, why do you help people like me? And he said that, listen, you have different perspectives. You teach me how to create startups.
Right.
Because it's a great humble approach. It's like, I watched this a documentary about Michael Jordan, right? And I think
The Last Dance.
Yeah, and Michael Jordan, like, it's just an example, but when you listen to world grade entrepreneurs and like world grade athletes and like people who reach really the top, they are always evolving. They're always looking for the new generation that can help them understand how they think, and it's eventually it's it's a dynamic that both sides help each other. And now he started this new startup. And guess what? He's calling me and Alex, can you help me interview some guys for our VP under R&D position? Because they're at your age, you will understand better if they're good or not. So you see how it works?
Yeah.
So I'm learning from him, from his experience, but he's using my mindset because it's more relevant to the people that he hires.
Right. So the fact that like when you reach out for help, right, from someone that's say more of a veteran in the space, you reach out to them because you have unique characteristics and they have unique characteristics and experience, and you want that experience. But because you have a different personality and experience in a sense, and you're tapping into something different from that person, they can then come to you. It's a give and take. But at the same time, from my experience and speaking to so many people in the industry, in the Israeli tech industries, is that, but it's not like there's no hierarchy.
No.
The person can be 30 years older, had 4 exits, right? But there's.
But at the beauty.
But at the end of the day, it's great.
And it's also. And
you can both equally WhatsApp each other and say, "Yo, I need your help with something. Can we get coffee?" And the answer is when, right?
But it works everywhere. Also, this is the beauty of, I think, and this is must stay like this. Otherwise, innovation and technology cannot happen.
How did we get here culturally? Let's talk about that for a minute. Like,
I think it comes from the army,
Right. But why does the Israeli army have that culture?
Because I think it's very young and it didn't have the opportunity to build the hierarchy. Like, think about like.
But don't armies need hierarchy, a chain of command, rather, right?
Listen, in relation to.
It's going to push you a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay. I like it. In relation to the civil companies, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, is very hierarchical because it's like this. It's army. But if you compare Israeli army to, for instance, I don't know, like the Marines, right? You cannot compare the roughness and the distances that people have between the hierarchies there. And I think it's because our army is very young. Think about it. It was founded and established like 1948.
Well, but it was.
Also, there was Haganah and Etzel, but it's not official IDF, right?
Right.
And because this whole country is built on heroic stories,
right?
And it's built on entrepreneurship. Think about this. How they build the kibbutz, right? So they build it over like there was this law that you cannot build houses. So what they did, they overnight
put a gate around the Ottoman Empire law.
So think about this.
Maybe you want to tell people because people may not know what we're talking about.
Yeah. So basically, the idea was like that you during the mandate, Jews could not build houses in Israel. And the only thing that what they could do is overnight they created like I don't know how to explain it, but some kind of a overnight house with a gate, and that's it. Then you cannot destroy them. So this is
and that came from originally the Ottoman Empire.
Yeah.
When the Ottoman Empire occupied Israel, and then when the Brits occupied it, they kept that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a very entrepreneurial spirit. So when the country is built over an entrepreneurial spirit, then the entrepreneurial spirit stays and it goes into the roots of the society. And since everybody in this country have to serve in the army, it's by law. And also the army is created some kind of a mesh between cultures, between different social and economic layers of the society. So it's blended all over the country, and then you can see it when people released from the army. You can see they applies those qualities in their daily life, in their houses, in work environment, and that was create a great innovative and an entrepreneurial spirit. So, for instance, there is no, we in Complyt, in some manner, we don't have a hierarchy, right? So for instance, if I do something and I do something wrong, so and one of the engineers think that I'm thinking wrong, he will tell me,
Right.
like in front of me, listen, I don't agree with you, this is not as supposed to be. That's amazing, because you're looking for the best solution, right? Not for the solution that comes from the higher.
I think that you hit it. I think like what it makes Israel unique in a sense is being the Jewish nation is that we're always forced to whatever it takes to survive and thrive.
Yeah.
And hierarchy, there's a time and a place, but many times it can get in the way in communication, escalating very important things, etc. And I think that understanding that having that hierarchy and the fact that the person on the ground or in the lowest level, so to speak, that feels and sees what's going on needs to be able to directly communicate to the top the issues. And when you have layers of people that also have their own interests and their own personalities and their own biases, that often you find that doesn't get filtered up to the top. It kind of like reminds me of what was that show, like Undercover CEO, like big CEOs in America of enterprises. They'd go, you know what I mean, and they'd be on the ground, pretend they go undercover to see what it's like. You need to see what it's like. You need to do like the actual product that you're providing, like how is it resonating? You need to feel and see that. And I think the best way to do that is to remove any kind of barrier between those making the biggest decisions and those that are actually carrying it out or dealing with those consequences. And so I think that in order to survive and thrive as a Jewish nation, we need to remove any assumptions of any potentially breakdown of communication. And I think through that, there's that understanding that, in a sense, and we're one organism, that we will remove anything that may potentially get in that way. So we don't want to have that broken communication.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, we're able to then bring that into the tech industry too. Is that you understand? I was able to speak to the most highest levels, right? And so
it's definitely, and I want to take us back a little bit, like 25 minutes back when we discussed about like different players in the market. So sometimes like you can read, you can explore some a problem in some space, and you say, oh, okay, they already did it, but don't stop there, because sometimes we address problems and we ask ourselves like, how did other players didn't do this, right? And then when you try to analyze it and you think, who are the people and what are their interests that listen to the problem of the customers in those like big company players to propagate those problems up until to the decision layer of management, and how many layers do they need to go through those ideas, and where are they corrupted during this process until something is decided and is done. And in Israeli startup, the one who hears the problem is the one who have the biggest interest to solve them, right? So the decisions to solve problems and to be always stay on the most critical path is always tracked, like not every week, but every day, every second, you ask yourself, am I do only the most important thing that can help our business move, right?
So we were talking about like the relationships within the IDF and how that translates to technology. So when it comes to VCs, in a sense, like that relationship changes. So maybe I know you started to touch on it, but you can go a little more detail. What is that relationship and the helping that you get from your VC? Tell us about who you're partnered with, maybe how much you raised, and kind of how you found your co-founders to build your team.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So VCs, it's a very interesting relationship that I learning throughout the years and this experience with Complyt. And the more I experience board meetings and board decisions, I more and more love it. Okay, a conversation with a VC. I cannot talk about all the VCs in the world. Okay, but I'm talking about the ones that I work with. I always amazed by how fast they can, without even being in the startup itself and out feeling the business, they just like reading the reports, and they can pinpoint our biggest pain like in 3 minutes. And then we can have like an agenda, and like we can build like the whole deck of what we're going to speak about is in this board. But they're like 5 minutes in the meeting, they touch something, our biggest pain, and then we can spend a day talking about only this specific problem. And I think first of all, it takes a talent and experience, and I like this non-formal approach, and cutting, like straight to the point.
Would you say usually the approach is far more formal?
Okay,
maybe you give me an example.
Yeah,
of
something
like,
I'll tell you.
unique.
Yeah, so I tell you, I was in a business school, right? So, and when I took like different entrepreneurship classes, like they teach you, you need to have a deck, not more than 10 slides, not in every slide, not more than 5 words. I don't know, like even like some different, and that you need to stand in the stage like this. Listen, if someone tells you like this, he never stood in front of VC,
Right.
okay? Because a conversation with a VC can be in a coffee shop,
Right.
Down the street, 5 minutes, he likes you, likes the idea, he believes in you, he gives you money. It's
Right.
so,
How do you stand out if you're doing what everyone else is being told to do?
exactly. So it's for me so weird. Sometimes for me, like as a kid, I was playing. I had a metal band when I was like in high school, and I never went to like music school. Like, and for me, it's always like weird, like looking at all the kids like struggling, hating the piano, hating the guitar. Like, why the hell? Why are you playing? Like,
Right.
you don't like it.
Well, they play because their parents make them.
Yeah. So. Like, and me and my friends, we love metal, we love Metallica, like we love AC/DC. Yeah, we were sitting in the shelters for hours, like hanging around, like having fun. And I was eventually playing guitar better than those kids who were going to all those fancy
Right.
music schools because they hated it, and I love it, right?
Right.
So VC looks for passion. VC looks for the guy who will be like, okay, you need to reach this. I don't know, like you need to reach this book, like. He will find a way to reach the
Right.
book, right? So there's a will, there's a way, right?
Right.
And VC is always like a good VC. I think he will challenge you
What
in
VC?
the board.
Who are you with?
Yeah, it's a VAT IT VC. It's a VC that is specializing in the tax compliance
Right.
world. Yeah, this is VAT.
And sort of VAT.
Yeah, and they have a lot of experience in this industry. They know the business, right? And they help us a lot. They help us to, like where to strategically what customers to look for, what segments, what countries, where to invest our money, in what positions to leverage what business sides. And it's very helpful that you have someone who understands the market, someone who understands sales, that can give you a priceless tip, suggestions.
Right. What's the best advice that you've gotten from your VC or suggestions?
It was it was amazing for me, and it was an eye opener from just a psychological perspective. It's actually related to budget for small companies in marketing, right? And he said something like, listen, you know how much money companies like Nike and McDonald's and Adidas throw on marketing?
Yeah.
Just for you to have the chance to see their logo like once or twice a day. It's billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So you think that you will be, if you will put like even like your whole budget, like I don't know, like just say like $3 million on marketing, you think like anyone would see that? Like anyone would even
Right.
notice it?
You need to get very specific as a marketer. I'm talking.
Yeah. So he said that, listen, for you as a small company, the marketing that you need to do is that you need to make it so great that if someone will look for you, he'll find something great. Yeah, and that's perspective. I think it was like an eye opener. I'm not a marketer, right? But like you hear from like your friends and from the university. Again, what I remember, I did like a whole like marketing. I as part of my business school, I was studying in Tel Aviv University, and I was accepted to Ross Business School, University of Michigan. So I took like the whole like marketing segment there because I wanted to understand what it's marketing, and I think that no one does it better than Americans, right? So I said let's do it in America. And like for 1 year, like I was like they were like preaching me like marketing, and I came with this idea like what it's marketing is, and then when you meet it in real life, then it's like a bus hits you in the face.
No, it's nothing. It's no different than the person telling you your slide deck needs to have this many points,
Definitely.
this many words.
It's,
there's no adaptability. There's no customization. None of it's real life action.
Yeah.
It was unique to Israel because we were talking about the hierarchy in the army, and you get the instant results from the bottom all the way to the top. Immediately, they're allowed and encouraged to communicate. You don't get that because when I study business, I study marketing in my undergrad in America, is that you learn things, and basically what they do is every year, 2 years, they'd update the textbooks. You just spend another $200 on it. It's just a fraud. The whole universe is a fraud. And then what you're learning, and then you go out to the market like, oh no, this is actually relevant.
Yeah.
I was like, but I tell people, so like we put up a job description yesterday, and I wrote preferred no college degree. They don't think critically, and it's not relevant. You're going to ask to be compensated more. This is in general. This is the difference between the culture.
Yeah.
Is that, oh, I have this degree. I spent money, time, and then you go out to the market. You're like, if you come work for me for 1 month, you'll know more than 4 years of marketing from the textbook. Like, it's unbelievable. It's just so outdated.
Yeah.
And not practiced in the field. Especially things change so rapidly now.
Yeah, but I'll give some credit to school, and my credit to school. I spent 10 years in school. I did like bachelor's, master's in computer science, and then I did business school. And I think that there's no need to be like long programs. I think what school teaches you, it just like trains this muscle that calls brain to think and to challenge itself. And even if you like,
what school you went to?
Yeah. No, but listen, like for instance, like in software engineering or in computer science, I remember like especially in the master's degree in computer science in Israel, if they give you like 1 or 2 problems every week, and I said, oh, that's it. It's I have a lot of free time, and then I found myself sitting on those like 1 or 2 problems for 6 days to solve them.
Do you think other people were like that too, or is that uniquely you?
I think everyone who did masters in computer science had to go through this process, and not unique. But the idea is that school program, they don't need to be like 4 years. And also, by the way, I was also like, after during my masters, I given the opportunity to be a tutor for a lecture. Then gave me the opportunity to be a lecturer. So I taught for 8 years. I wrote several courses, and honestly, I think that computer science program, software engineering program don't need to be so long. Like you can do it in 2 years, even less, if you give like the core courses. So for instance, no need to teach. I don't think that no need to computer science student don't need to learn 4 or 5 different programming languages, because he is a master of none.
Right.
Yeah. So, but give him like good courses where he will need to think abstractly, right? Like mathematical courses, when he needs to develop this muscle that to overcome obstacles, and to think out of the box, and to think critically, and to give him like problems that there is no solution, and let him write there is no solution. Yeah. Because the world didn't found the solution yet. So maybe you're a genius and you will solve it right now, but be honest with yourself and say, I couldn't find a solution.
Right.
Yeah. And this critical thinking, that is, by the way, I heard a lot people on different podcasts from United States are claiming that this is a problem that we have right now in our society.
Critical thinking.
Yeah.
Which is why I said I was surprised, but then you studied STEM. Science, technology, engineer, math. I guess outside of that, critical thinking doesn't really exist. There is no critical thinking anymore. Largely, I mean, it's emotional. People are just emotional.
Yeah, I think people. Yeah, I agree.
It's hard to think, to like stop and think. We want to be distracted all the time. We don't want to think critically. We don't want to say, why did I say that?
It's very convenient not to think critically.
Yeah, it's not just, our brain doesn't want to.
Yeah.
We're looking for distractions, right?
Yeah, like TikTok, Instagram.
It's whatever it is, everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, ChatGPT, what's the answer?
Right, and which is great. I mean, use the tool, but people even think, how can I ask the prompt better? Like, it's few people do, right? There's some professionals that still like to think hard.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lack of that, especially in universities, I would say, especially outside of STEM subjects. I see no critical thinking. I mean, in college, I just learned how to do a beer stand, and
Yeah.
a keg stand,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
and how to throw a party, which I still use today.
That's it. Look. Eventually, if you know how to throw a party, it can help you in life sometimes.
It's helped.
Yeah.
So,
See, so you
I
did
didn't
learn
need the
something.
degree to that.
Yeah.
That was because I joined the fraternity. That wasn't for any other reason,
Yeah.
really. Critical thinking. We understand there's a big lack of that.
Yeah.
So obviously, to be successful, specifically in technology, and we see a lot of more critical thinking, I think, in Israeli tech than other tech.
Yeah.
I think it's part of our success. How do you bring critical thinking into your business?
Yeah, I think let's start from let's go again to the beginning. How do you build a company that has a critical thinking, and like especially software, the major asset is people, right? Like, so Complyt is not complete without the people in Complyt.
Do you say that a lot?
No.
Complete is not complete.
No, actually, it's a good.
I'm
not a marketer. You are.
It's good branding.
Yeah. Actually, it is.
For your next recruitment drive, you can use that.
That's a good. Actually, yeah. It's a good idea. I like it. Anyway, so we need to build a team, and so when we started, like they told me, okay, find engineers. And I say, hold on, let me just like understand where do we take it from here. And I'm a very technical person. I'm very hands-on. I like it. I love it. And I started doing it myself and taking a little bit back to our mentor. He told me that, listen, the magical relation is 80% infrastructure, 20% features. Every feature needs to be strategically targeting customers' needs. Okay? And I took this proportion. And I put my mindset into this. So I said, okay, I started just building writing some code. Then they said, okay, but I need to do infrastructure. So I hired someone who was my student, and he worked as a student for my previous company. And I said, okay, he's a young engineer, but he's talented. He's a great guy. And I get along with him, and yeah, let's bring him. So he was like our first engineer, and I knew that, everybody said that your first engineers needs to be like seniors, they need to be very experienced. But the problem is that, it's a very delicate and it's a very fragile moment for the startup. There is no way for wrong turns. Everything needs to be like very fast, very accurate, and everything needs to be on point. So you need as less friction as you can. So I said, okay, if I'll bring someone who is new and is eager to learn and to do, so things will go my and Tal's way, right? And it worked like magic. So he worked with and I believe that engineers should work with the whole company, not with their manager, and the manager will be their speaker to the whole company. I believe like in economy of scale, but internally, right? So I told them, listen, you work directly with the product manager. You don't need to go through me to talk to the product manager. I'm here to give consultation and to guide, but I do other stuff.
Kind of like the army, huh? You don't.
Yeah, I do my stuff. I do my stuff. Like I work on the infrastructure, and you work on the product with the product manager. And so it went. And I think like after 5 months, we had our first MVP, our first design partner started using our product, and there you have the first market signal that there is a market fit, right? Product market fit. It says that someone needs your product and is willing to pay for it. There became more need for features and requirements. So again, hire another engineer. And what I did, someone contacted me and told me that there is a recruitment company called Sharpies, and they specialized in kids that prior to the army, they in the high school, and they almost in their third year in the university. They do like university and high school at the same time. I said, okay, just send me like your 5 best. And every kid, their kids like 17 years old, and they just like I know that I'm amazing. I have shivers here right now. Amazing, like brilliant kids, brilliant, and they solved the whole like interview problems like nothing. Really, I'm telling you, it was amazing. And so I took the best of them, and he's amazing. He's like 18 years old.
It's interesting to me. Like you think about, or I at least thinking like, there's such bullshit consulting companies like McKinsey and all that. They're useless. They really don't solve anything, right? is kind of related to that whole like level of management hierarchy that outside of Israel have. That people kind of bring them in, kind of like, oh, so if they brought them in and they took the advice and it went well, I can take the credit. If it went wrong, well, I brought in this big McKinsey or whatever, it's a big name. How can you blame me? I listened to the experts.
Yeah.
But I think at the end of the day, if you remove that kind of principal agent problem, working with these young, brilliant minds, far better to solve problems than with these young 20, above average smart in intelligence, 20s out of university.
Yeah, so it's also as you said, it's very depend on the circumstance, and I think just like sometimes, like large companies who hire different consulting firms, they just don't have the infrastructure, the capabilities to understand that they want maybe to hire these prodigies. And even they do hire them, they don't know how to communicate or how to leverage this potential for themselves, right? So we did it, and he was amazing. And then we hired two guys who actually were software engineers in the army, in those intelligence units. And then we found ourselves with 4 kids, basically. Like, they're all like young, they're all like in their 25, 26. And if you give them the right infrastructure, so for instance, I really believe, I do believe in learning and in education. So I always encourage them, and we actually monitor this, that they always do some kind of an online course in this technology and that technology. I just believe that before you use technology, you need to learn and understand it.
Right.
Then you can leverage it correctly, because I think that the long path is the short path in this in this area.
So measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, definitely. And also with the philosophy of an open organization where the software engineer works with the customer, with the product manager, with the CEO, with the marketing, with the sales, with the customer success, and he exposed to the whole business, then he can connect the dots, and he can say that, listen, I think I heard in the sales talk that this customer sent this and that. I think what he actually wants is he can actually help the product manager to translate it to technical requirements, because he knows the product from the technical aspect, and he listens what the product needs, and he connects the dots, and I'm not in this conversation, and it just happens.
Right.
And it gives me the free time to think about like the future of the company, to investigate new technology, to put my mindset into better hirings for the company, like to pave the road, but in different scale from like 2 years ago. Yeah, still the same infrastructure, but for larger scale.
Right. So let's talk about that technology in your company. Let's bring it back to everyone's favorite subject, taxes. So how do you use technology? What's unique to your technology that people that work with Complyt, they wouldn't be able to get from anywhere else?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, one of the biggest thing that we found during our customer needs exploration is that there is like, let's go first of all, there are like basically, like roughly speaking, 2 types of customers, B2B and B2C, right? And let's talk about the characteristics of the people who work with our product in B2B. Mm-hmm. So there are the majorly like the director of finance, CFOs, controllers, people who majorly work with the ERP system that puts the transactions into place, right? So let's take like a big B2B company. How many the transactions, like average, like they have like 50, 100, 200 transactions per month, okay? And they do it manually, right? Most of the time, okay? And this is, you don't need to have a great infrastructure. You don't need to have a great performance results. But people are looking for people that can help them solve their problems, right? And, we found that, let's take Netflix case. They didn't start with streaming. They started with renting video cassettes, right? So we said, listen, we don't have right now the resources to create a great technological differentiator at the beginning. So let's provide it using great professional services, great customer success, because other players in the market, the pains that we heard is that when customers have problems, they have no one to talk to.
And is it because that it's such an established industry, it goes back forever,
Yeah.
and that there's no choice, you have to use it?
Yeah.
It's almost like the industry's become an oligarchy in a way.
Yeah.
You know
In some way, yeah, exactly. So what happens is that, okay, you are working with a product, but then you're trying to contact with your service provider, but you can't find the solution because you need to go through this hierarchy until you reach someone that actually can give you help, and then they will charge you fortune for the professional services. And I said, listen, we can do the calculation, right? So let's add this extra benefit that we give, like immediate professional services, immediate customer success. And also we have this philosophy that we said that customers are willing to experience mistakes, but not bad attitude. Okay?
That's true.
And it's something that my father taught me as a business owner. He said, listen, the customer is always...
What did your father do?
He's a doctor. He has his own clinic. And he said, listen, the customer always right.
And he's from the Soviet Union, yeah?
Yeah. So we migrated we did Aliyah in the 1990, where the big Aliyah from Soviet Russia, and then my both parents are doctors. My mother, she is a neurologist, and my father, he is a surgeon, orthopedic surgeon. We moved to Tzfat, then moved to Haifa, then we moved to Yoknam, and then I moved to Tel Aviv to study. So. And going back to customer success, is that we said, let's start from this. And we realized that this can be a great differentiator for us, but it won't last. So what happened is that as we grew and we reached, the more customers you have, the more you get, because you have reputation, people willing to listen to you, because you already have business. And then we found ourselves in the area of B2C. Area of the B2C is different area and different requirements. And then it's not like 100 transaction made offline by someone. It can be like 2 million transaction made by the customers of your customer. And then you need to be always online. You need to be always great performance. And then the response time is critical. And then the first contract that we signed, our customer said something like, listen, we'll leave this player because their performance are really bad. And then we realized that their performance is really bad because they have a lot of legacy infrastructure code. And we
wait. That's a leap.
Yeah.
The performance is bad. How the hell do you know that they have old legacy code and that is the reason? How did you make that? First
of all, there are websites when you can see the infrastructure, the technology.
So is that what you did? You're like, let's do a deep audit. You went to look at all the LinkedIn profiles of the people that work there.
No. You just can scan.
But you didn't know it was the code, right? They didn't tell you that. Did you?
No.
So how did you research? Okay, why are they leaving them?
Yeah, you want to understand, right?
So did you look into the senior There's just more business than tech in a way. Did you look into the senior management? Maybe they've been there too long, or they may be distracted with other projects. What made you think to look in the code? What made you think that maybe the code's legacy? What made you think to move in that direction?
Yeah, sure. Because first of all, there are tools that you can scan the technological stack of the companies. People just saying stuff, and they're writing. They're very proud of what they know, and you can connect the dots and see the majority of the people in player X. This is what the technology that they use. 1 + 1, you guess, okay, this is maybe what they do, right? And if it's a company that's 20 years old, so and you think, okay, what was popular 20 years from today? And of course they change stuff, but it's very hard to change than to write it from the beginning sometimes.
Right.
And as you said, the more there are people in the company, and the more there's layers of decision makers. So not all the time the decisions are genuine, right? So, and when we started building this product, we always thinking about, first of all, security. This is a must in our product. And this is a mindset that I brought from my previous companies, and we always on this. And second is performance, right? And security, high availability, great performance. Those three metrics, need to be like.
Was security something your customers or prospects demanded?
No, they don't know how to demand it, but
That's what I'm saying. That's not something I usually
yeah,
hear.
but
That's why I asked.
but you can encounter sometimes when you interact with serious companies, they that hey, for instance, they are SOC 2 certified, right?
Right.
So they have a CISO and some IT manager.
And so they need to sign off on anything.
Yeah, so they will before they sign a contract with us, they need to get an approval from their CISO, and he will ask, for instance, do those guys have a SOC 2 certified? I want to see it.
Right. And if they don't, it's a no starter.
No, it's okay. It's sometimes what they do, and we experienced it because on our first sales year, we didn't have a SOC 2 certificate yet. We were in the process, so we did our SOC 2 certification with a great startup named Cytel. They do a SOC 2 preparation, and our auditor was EY. So what you do, EY will create an email for you that okay, those guys are in the middle of a process. This is their date for the
expected certification.
For the due diligence. And what they do, you give this a formal letter, and also they send you a questionnaire that you need to answer. And then they look at this and say, okay, those guys are okay. They may be in the process, but they are serious guys. They take security and privacy seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So to bring it back to your technology. Okay, so those are the three pillars of your company. So how did you find new clients?
How do we find our clients? So it started most of the time. It started from board meetings. We have a plan, like a sales plan, what countries we want to target. Of course, we started with Israel because it's very easy. We know we speak the same language. Everybody wants to help an Israeli startup.
Right. Maybe you want to talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, sure.
The show is called Israel Tech, so if you say
yeah, so it's not only related because I don't know, like there is this constant wheel of it's not 100% true, but like the majority of the time, like people want to help startups. They want to be part of something new. They want to be part of something that might become big. And then you hear those stories that, yeah, of course I know them. I was their like second customer. I helped them build this product, and also it's a lot of eventually it comes to great relationships between people, because if you help me build my startup, then in the future I will say like good stuff about you, and I will help you back, like with whatever you need from any others. Eventually it comes down to people, right? It's a people relationship. I want to emphasize on some technological perspective that helped us in this competitive market. So I was talking about the sales tax rates engine, and I knew that we bought this product for our needs, but I knew that we eventually will build our own. So today we have our own sales tax rates engine, and it puts our product in different perspective from other products that do sales tax rates, because the whole ecosystem has a synergy of for performance in the cloud, and also like cloud cost optimization and utilization. So for instance, right now, when we have like 1.5, 2 million transactions, and sometimes we experience where there are like seasonalities of transactions. So we might have like 50, 60 transactions per second, and we are able to respond like every transaction in like 250 milliseconds. This is a great performance, okay? I don't know, I cannot explain how great it is, because our competitors is way out of scale in this, right? And this is something that, because we are small and because we had this opportunity to start from scratch and with the right mindset, you can create an amazing product that will create an amazing value for customer that will be willing to leave a great players with great reputation for a small Israeli startup.
Right. I see, like, this is a weird connection, but like global infrastructure.
Yeah.
So up and coming developing countries, they have this advantage. They get to leapfrog. So let's say America has been established. the airports aren't nearly as nice as a developing country that can build it from scratch. So JFK in New York, right,
Yeah.
which a lot of traffic goes through, they don't have the opportunity
No,
to
they
build
don't.
a brand new one there and the amount of land that you need to serve New York and all that. So in a sense, it will never be the nicest,
Yeah.
right? A new up and coming city, right, that they might be in, they're ready for international airport, even in America or wherever, it'll be much nicer.
Yeah.
Same goes to the downtown and new towers and new all that you're not getting new towers in Manhattan, really, right? You're getting, but you'll get new towers here in Tel Aviv and places maybe in China and in India.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And maybe Eastern Europe. And so they're going to look far more modern. They've leapfrogged, in a sense, a lot of establishment.
Yeah.
So I think that there's that unique opportunity. And I think also that culturally, the cultural of young life and energy that you get from Israel and some other developing nations,
Yeah.
I think you'll feel it all the way up to when companies become established players. They usually have more of that innovation, even once they're more enterprise-ish, than those that have been, let's say, legacy corporations.
Yeah, but all of this is correct, with an emphasis that there is no shortcuts.
Right.
You need to understand that, and this thing is essential, because sometimes, it's and I feel it sometimes, like for myself, I have this like mind like going like once and then like try to eliminate it, because it's very convenient to say that, oh, like we have customers, and like we have, like, for instance, we have like 70 customers. This is our first year, and we signed 70 customers. We reached a 700,000 ARR. It's a good metric for
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you, appreciate. For a young startup, first year in sales, like, okay, what I did was good. Let's relax. But this is exactly. This is the catch, right? Because we take going back, that this is not the Michael Jordan mindset, right? You always need to say, okay, now I have this infrastructure, I have these engineers, I have this cloud, I have everything. It's great performance, but how do I make it better? How do I make it like faster? How do I make it cheaper? How do I make it like, I want to reach Google. I want Google to be my customer, right? After that, I want to be the U.S. government to be my customer. I don't know, but
are you sure about that one?
No, but I'm saying this, like, this is the mindset that you need to be like, find a way, always find a way. Like I like the NFL, big fan, and what I like about them is like sometimes to listen to the bench, how they talk, and especially when they're losing. And the mindset that they put themselves. I remember very clearly when I was watching the Super Bowl. I don't remember the number, but it was the Patriots against the Falcons, and they were losing like 28-3, and they eventually won, right, in the halftime. No, after the game. I don't like
post-game.
Post-time. And then I was watching. They created an amazing video of the Patriots bench. How, like, Tom Brady, the quarterback, how is he talking to his players, and how is he encouraging them, and think like you're losing like 28-3. It's a huge gap. It's a Super Bowl. It's very hard to come after this huge gap of like in loss, but with the right mindset, how do they won, right? Of course, they're great athletes, great experience, everything, but there is this wheel of like find a way, and you will find a way eventually if you will be in this mindset. But if you will say like, I have like already 5 Super Bowls, why do I need the 6?
Right.
You won't get even the first.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of visual thinking in Israeli technologies that and you can say it's about Olympic athletes, that they visualize themselves on the podium, or you could visualize your success. And I think being able to have that, if you don't visualize it,
my wife called it manifestation.
Yeah, manifestation, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't actively visualize it, think about it, right? In a sense, you become obsessive to the point that like you're annoying, that you need to cover it up a little bit, suffocate it, push it down a bit. That's the only way. Those that reach those levels of pinnacle success, you need to have that. And if you don't, then you just won't reach those levels. So
definitely,
you got to keep hungry. So where can we see? How long until you think the American government will be a client of yours?
I don't know.
Can we get on the record?
No, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
I don't think it's even possible in your industry.
Yeah, I don't. And I'm sure if I want to get involved there.
That's what I was saying. You sure you want to be a customer?
But like we are always looking, like become like bigger and have like better product, be bigger customer, bigger company, and like expand into other horizons in this industry besides like like sales tax. There's like a lot of stuff that we want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And is it so like I know America, they hired 87,000 more IRS agents a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh, you know that?
No.
87,000 more.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, so I was going to say, that's like good for you, but everyone else, it sucks, right? Yeah, so do you have like, out of curiosity, like any passions or interests about like taxes in general, like a flat tax or aggressive tax or things like that? Do you have any ideology or do you have any opinions on it? Based since you're so involved with it, you see how it takes time and energy and money and resources for companies and individuals and countries and all that. I was wondering if you have any unique insight about taxation that you have. I'd just be curious.
No, not at that point. And again, we explore new business opportunities like in the future, like
Right.
the way we want to expand our business, because sales tax is great, right? But when you talk to customers, they're also like, hey, what about this area? What about that? When you will do this? And
Right.
yeah, and we're more like looking into expanding in the future. But first of all, we believe that I don't like to be a master of none. Like
Right.
if you want to do like be the best at like sales tax, do the best sales tax in
Right.
the world. When you occupy this, like start thinking.
Then you can branch out.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself branching outside of America or no? Because it's a whole radically different. It's like a whole new.
Yeah,
country.
sure, absolutely. Why not? With this, again, it's an internal conversations that I don't want to emphasize about them so much, but definitely, like if there is a business opportunity and it's worth the resources, the time, the money, and yeah, we'll do this.
So you're talking about like maybe expanding other markets and other things. But let's say someone's trying to grow and build a career, like where to start.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young tech entrepreneur, their first time trying to get out?
First of all, create like your own. Be a professional. That's the first thing. That's the essential, right? You cannot run an accounting firm without being a good accountant.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my mindset, and also I see it works great for me here. I managed to attract talents because they look, hey, this is Alex, I like his experience, he knows stuff I don't know, I want to learn from this guy, right? And that was my mindset when I was a new fresh engineer. I was looking to work, like for people who like did stuff, right? So as we go back to the army, you wanna be in a unit where like the officer, he did stuff, he knows stuff, you want to learn from him, right? So as everything, like in sports and everything is like this. So first of all, be someone, right? Be someone, like have experience, know your shit, like yeah. So people will want to listen to you, and once it happens, once you realize that you are something that you can give back to the team, then people will want to, they will call you because they will want you to be there, right? So this is the first thing, and I think the second thing, if not the first thing, is just listen to people. I know it's a very again, we're going to the beginning of our conversation, but I know we all really want to talk. We all really want to say what we think and to get heard, to go to the stage, to have the suit and to give this deck to the VCs. Life doesn't work that way. Like, I'm telling you the truth. My three first board meetings, I think I said like 2 words, including hello, really. Just like listen, understand the environment, listen to people that is more experienced than you, learn from them, take notes, like pave your way through actions, not from words, because, like, it's just like it will happen for you, right? Always explore. That's my mindset. Like for instance, my little brother right now he's in Stuttgart. He's doing the stage. He's a medical student, and I told yesterday my mother that I really like that he's always traveling somewhere, always experiencing, always like changing his atmosphere, and that's what makes you like an interesting person, right? And I think this is the mindset. Let aside of tech, of an entrepreneurial human being, like in everything.
You're building character.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Alexander?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.